Everyone wants to take their business, their skills, to the next level. Small and mid-sized business owners have exceptional insight into how to do this. They endure and thrive because they find ways to overcome the challenges that come their way, and they can teach us valuable lessons to apply to our own companies and lives. Stephen Nooner, founder and owner of Alkali, a company with a unique process that helps businesses more effectively buy and manage their insurance programs. And Bob Gibbons, builder of Riata Commercial Realty, a real estate advisor and tenant advocate, are two prominent Metroplex businessmen who, along with their weekly guests, will ask their and your probing questions, finding impactful solutions that will help you reach for the next level. Here are your hosts, Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons.
Welcome to The Next Level, conversations that propel business. I'm your host, Bob Gibbons.
And I'm your host, Stephen Nooner.
You didn't think I was going to get out?
I'm not sure what that pause was. Maybe you're still on jet lag from being in Dublin.
It's been 2 weeks since we've done a show, and I'm rusty.
Well, really excited. We've got a great guest today. Carlos Vaz is with us. Carlos is the CEO of CONTI Organization, a real estate investment company specializing in multifamily investments here in Texas. They've been in business since 2008, employ 91 people in DFW. To learn more, please visit them at contiorg.com. That's CONTIORG.com. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here. We're excited.
My pleasure to be here. And hopefully I can share some of my thoughts and we can all make fun of me.
Or at least the way you speak. Right?
We just make fun of, make fun of Bob.
Probably, yes.
Well, you're from Brazil.
Yes.
Just tell everybody that right up front. So what town are you from?
It's a small city. It's about a 4-hour from São Paulo for a drive. So that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
So I can say the name Itajubá, but
that won't do us any good. Stephen couldn't spell that if you paid him $1 million.
That's the challenge. So
well, we like to start off the show with what we call wisdom from others, where we have a quote from somebody else. And this week, there's a guy named Milton Berle. You may not even know who that is. He was an old-time comedian in the U.S. And he said, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door.
I love it.
I thought that was pretty interesting. And the reason I thought of that was because you gave us a quote of your own, which is something you always say.
And Bob didn't like your quote as much as his.
No.
So he had to show off with his quote.
Yeah, I'm always showing off. But but I thought the cool thing about it was I read the quote from Milton Berle and I asked Stephen, what do you think that means? He says, it means make it happen, which was, of course, your quote.
I say make it happen at least kind of 15 times a day.
Who do you say it to?
Myself, first of all, every day in the morning. I think that, first of all, I think when we all wake up in the morning, it's so easy to bring yourselves down and say, it's another day. What I need to do today. And in my case, thank you, God, I'm awake. Thank you, God, I have the opportunity to go to work.
Amen.
And provide to my family.
Absolutely.
Thank you, God, I live in this blessed country. I mean, the U.S. is. I'm so thankful for this country and how much opportunity this country has provided to me, and I have an eternal debt. So when I wake up in the morning, I say, "Thank you, God. Now let's make it happen." So my kids come to me and say, "Yes, Dad, you're gonna make it happen." So I get in the office, we have a challenge. Say, guys, let's face it with the best of abilities, with integrity, and we're gonna make it happen. So it's almost that. There's the saying, right? What you think, you believe. What you believe, you become.
Yeah.
So you start saying that a lot, it gets inside of you.
Yeah.
And that who you become.
Well, it's self-talk, right? Too. I mean, so you're talking to yourself in a way when you do that.
Yeah.
And do you want to have bad self-talk or good self-talk? I mean,
well, by beholding, you become changed, and if you behold things in your mind, that's going to have an impact one way or the other on your life. So
what I love about that too is that you aren't just choosing the positive mindset. You're starting from gratitude, right? So you started with, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, right? I'm blessed. And then you move into the positive mindset.
It is. I mean, like going back to what we were talking, right? Like, I was not born here. So I have been in the U.S. for a little bit over 15 years now. Live in Boston for about 7 years. The point that I say is that for everyone that was born in this country, you're ahead of the curve. Mm-hmm. If you look at the U.S., I mean, if the fact that you're born here, you're 4% of the world population. So you are so much ahead, And every time I go to Brazil, I'm very thankful for my family, but I come back here and Dallas is home, I turn to my wife and I say, you know what, I think we need to get on your knees every day and say thank you for this country. Now let's go to work.
Is your wife American or?
She's from Iowa.
From Iowa.
That's
So not just American, but Iowa.
Iowa. So God was kind to me. He gave me a good a Midwestern girl, and that's my.
That's great.
The odds of Brazil, a guy from Brazil meeting someone from Iowa, that's a different story.
She had a Midwestern work ethic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lynn is very down to earth, which is I love it. What you see, what you're gonna get. She's a very entrepreneur. She knows that sometimes being an entrepreneur is not easy, and being married to an entrepreneur, it's because you're facing the challenge, as you guys understand well. So what's gonna happen? But I think that there's a lot of being on the same page, and that's something I'm very thankful for my wife. We're always on the same page. So
Steve and I are so much on the same page. Both of our wives work in our companies as well. That takes it to a whole new level.
oh yes.
So tell us something that not everyone maybe knows about you.
About me, I think that's it. If people want to know something about me, just ask. I'm very open.
How many siblings do you have?
I'm one of 9 kids.
9?
Yeah, I'm number 8.
Oh my.
Yeah, so it's my dad was a butcher, my mom a homemaker, so didn't have that much growing up. But I think we have the attitude, right? My dad said, none of my kids are lazy. You all go to work, and very thankful for that one. And the company is named after my mom because just my mom's attitude. My mom never complains. She's always pushing herself to make sure that we have something on the table, even that meant she was not eating. So that was always very important to me. So we didn't have much growing up. So where I was born, they didn't have running water or electricity, but it was the beginning of everything. So I started.
Okay, so let's take that thread and how do you go from a tiny town 4 hours out of Sao Paulo and one of 9 kids, and you end up in Boston going to school? How does that happen?
Well, it's I think that first of all, I think I'm very thankful to one of my sisters. One of my sisters, she became a dentist, and something she always told me, say, listen, if you look at our family, nothing wrong. We're always working hard. It's good, but it's very important for you to keep studying. Never give up in improving yourself. Always keep learning, because you might not see that today, but one day things are going to happen. And there's a quote from Theodore Roosevelt that described that so much. It says that you need to put yourself in such a shape that an opportunity comes, you're ready for them, right? So which means that you should always be improving yourself. When the opportunity comes, you can do something. So my sister, she had a huge influence over me. Just I keep studying, and I was the first one among my brothers, always studying a little bit more. So I started work with my dad, going to the farm or going to the butcher shop at the age of 7. So doing everything. So not much enjoyable time, but
And
I was
you still
working.
have all 10 fingers. I'm impressed.
Yes, I used to have 10 of them.
You're a good butcher.
Yes, a couple of scars here and there, but that's a different story. So just kind of working with the family, and with my dad, we had a little bit of some conflicts because for him, and I respect it a lot. I think that the way people raise for him is very important for his kids to be working. Going to school was considered lazy. So
Wow.
it's but a different mindset. I mean, I think that any good father, you trying to do the best of your abilities to provide to your kids.
Sure.
The best that you know. Sometimes you don't know, and sometimes what you don't know can be scary to you, and probably that was happened to my dad. But I was very thankful. So my attitude was always, okay, I can work as much as I can, but I'm gonna find time to stay in school. So I was the first one of my brothers to actually stay in school, finish high school. And in Brazil, back then, I think they changed things now. I mean, the last 3 years, that's when you get yourself ready to go to college. So I was able to get a scholarship, go to a private school. That was very good because the amount of people that I met, some of the people they had a lot of influence over me. So it's just seeing the relationship that they have with their parents, just seeing, not complain, different perspectives.
So how did that bring you to the U.S.?
Well, that gave a huge impact on me in terms of I need to open my mind, I need to learn more. And through that, one of my friends, he lived in the U.S. for about 3 years. When he came back, he had a bunch of books, a bunch of videos. That's when I self-taught myself English. just learning.
Wow.
Yeah, love and marriage. I mean, Rifle Man, you name it. I have seen them all. So, the old ones. So a lot of things, just kind of learning, and making the U.S. I got accepted to a law school in Brazil. So it was something they called Federal University. If you get accepted, you don't have to pay because it's Federal University.
Nice.
It does not work. No,
Not nice.
No, it's not nice. It doesn't work because if you don't have to pay, it means the government has to take care of everything.
Ah.
So the teachers are not getting paid well enough, which I feel bad for them because you spend so many years preparing yourself now. So make a long story short, the first year they had a strike for almost 4 months. Everybody the teachers want to strike because not getting paid enough, so it was bad. And I'm looking at the situation and say, I just want to finish. The second year, they had another strike for almost a little bit over 2 months. This time, the students went on strike because they raised the food in the cafeteria. So there were riots on the campus, and I'm like,
Oh, man.
Wow.
I just want to get a degree. How can you finish this year?
Wow.
So it was very frustrating. At that point, I was thinking to myself, maybe I go overseas, and I spent some time, work as an intern in the law office. Then I come back. That's going to give me, better skills, and I can do something else, something here in Brazil. With that story, I did some Google search. I'm looking for a law office. Initially, I was looking Germany. Because if you look at the Brazilian legal system, it's all written law, the same as in Germany. My German back then was okay. Today is kaput. So I was thinking about going to Germany. I sent a bunch of emails. Nobody ever replied. Every time I was doing my search, there was one office in Boston would come up. 123 Columbus Avenue, Donahue and Groman. So came the second. When I had the second strike, I sent them an email. They replied. They sent me 50 questions. We had a phone interview, and they said, "Carlos, would you like to come over?"
Wow.
That was a big challenge for me because, first of all, I don't have the money.
Sure.
I don't know anyone, and the internship is not paid.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay.
Come on over, Carlos.
Yes, okay. Well, let me think this here. But I think that sometimes kind of the way God is speaking with you, I had that kind of the gut feeling say I should go.
Yeah.
My mom, in a certain way, she's looked at me and as I'm putting my bags together and said, something's going to tell me that it's going to take a while for you to see your brothers again. But know that we love you and we're always going to be here. It took 12 years
Oh, man.
to see my family again. I came to the U.S. I had $300 in my pocket when I moved to Boston. And I met some other people from Brazil. They were living in this duplex. The attic was available. My rent was $350. So the first month, my P&L, I'm negative.
Yeah, but $350 in Boston, that's cheap.
Yeah, but was the attic, which is pretty much the size of the studio here.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, for our listeners, that's probably about 10 feet by 11 feet.
Super luxurious.
Yes,
luxurious, exactly.
And let's take into account the ceiling was a little bit lower because it's the attic.
Well,
So-
we're gonna have to stop you there for a
Sure.
second. We're gonna have to take a break.
Okay.
But when we come back, we're gonna actually start talking about how you got into business. We've never taken this long on an intro.
Yeah.
Okay,
What a
Which
great
is good.
story. No, we're
But
looking
such a
forward
cool
to it.
story. We want to do that. But when we get back, we'll talk about how he actually started a business, why he moved to Dallas,
Okay.
and what's going on in that business. So we'll be right back after the break.
See you after the break.
Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye.
And now, Confessions of a Recovering Landlord.
This is Bob Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty, and I am your recovering landlord. After 20 years as a landlord, I now use that experience only for the benefit of companies that lease or buy office buildings and warehouses. Today's confession: knowledge is power. We all negotiate from a position of power and strength, or at least we want to. In any negotiation, the party with the most knowledge probably has the upper hand, and landlords count on this being the case whenever you're negotiating a lease, because most landlords are professional real estate investors and they hire professional leasing agents and property managers. Landlords are in the market every day negotiating leases, while tenants probably only negotiate 1, maybe 2 leases every few years. So tenants feel outgunned. Don't let landlords have all the power. As a former landlord for 20 years, I understand how landlords think and what motivates them. So let me put that knowledge and experience to work on your side of the negotiation. To learn more, contact me at TexasTenantRep.com. Again, that's TexasTenantRep.com.
Have you started making plans to take your business to the next level in 2016? Hi, I'm Stephen Nooner, founder and CEO of Alkali. We have a trademark process called the Empowered Advantage that enables CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs to more effectively buy and manage their insurance. Before sitting down to make your plans for the new year, here are just a few things to consider. Would you say that you have an actual insurance strategy, one that you can articulate, or have you just purchased a policy here and there over the years? If you have an insurance strategy, was it discussed under the pressure of a renewal deadline or considered earlier in the year to avoid fire drill decision making? If your answer was no to either of these questions, then you may not have the right partner on your team. Visit alkaliservices.com to contact us and take the next step to a bigger and better future.
Hey, this is Eve Mayer. I'm the CEO of socialmediadelivered.com. I've just sat here with Bob and Steven and did their radio show. I asked them to show me their snaps on Snapchat, and they looked at me very confused.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Next Level. We're here with our special guest, Carlos Vaz, CEO of CONTI Organization. If you want to learn more about Carlos, please visit CONTIORG.com.
Welcome back. We're excited about your story. So you were telling us about how you got to the U.S. You're living in an attic for $350 a month, working for free for a law firm.
Cash flow negative.
Cash flow
Well,
negative.
work as an intern, so that was the trade-off. So my first job actually in the U.S. was work at a newspaper warehouse in Arlington, Massachusetts, from 2 a.m. to 6, load and unload trucks. Then I used to go to the law office from 8 to 3. Then I also got a job at TGI Fridays in Woburn, which is actually recently I was there and they shut down that.
What was that town again?
Woburn.
Woburn.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Maybe
just love
it's-
the way you said that. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Well, it's like I said, it's a Peabody or Peabody that, and you throw a little bit my Portuguese accent and throw a Bostonian accent, it gets a whole mess. So work at TGI Fridays over the weekend, and then something that I saw is at Harvard Extension School, they offer classes that pretty much anyone can take it as long as you have the money. You have class in finance and kind of business communication. It's a little bit expensive, but if you have the money, if you save enough, so to me it was my goal. So always the story, I always keep learning. So when I got to the US, after the first 30 days, okay, the party's over, I need to find a way to keep learning. And that's something I have for my whole life. And everyone who knows me, I will be learning my whole life. So what I did, kind of working these odd jobs, not sleeping much. And after the first month, I was able to enroll myself in a couple of classes.
Nice.
And to me, I think that when I mentioned Harvard was a good thing because it meant the age to me meant more hope than anything else. Hope that you're trying to become better. Hope that you're always trying to do the best you can. And then something that I also have with me, I never complain. I mean, it's so easy to put yourself in a position, oh, my life is hard, or oh, I'm working the shifts, and why are you going to complain?
Nobody wants to hear it, do they?
Nobody wants to hear it. So suck it up, do the best you can, and if you don't like it, do the best you can to get out of there. But you have the control of those tools. So I started working as hard as I could. I got to know a lot of people in Boston that were actually from Brazil. For my surprise, Boston has the second biggest Brazilian community in the U.S. Hopefully, so I think that's still the same. Miami is pretty much the first. A lot of people, they wanted me to get involved in construction. And I said, no, I'm not, because if you guys do something I don't know, my name's going to be there. There's going to be a problem. But I need to learn. Make a long story short, I started calling some construction companies. I found one that was willing to give me a shot. I started working as the guy, cleaning everything, doing all the labor.
And so how did you get from that to starting a company? I mean, in
and
multifamily?
Yeah, and that's with that, in no time became kind of my work for this company for almost 2 years. And then start saving all the money to start buying my own tools. And then the first CONTI was created, CONTI Construction.
Got it.
And that's still in Boston.
That was back in Boston, a small. We do any jobs. We can install doors. We can do bathroom remodelings, and that was the first CONTI. Now to evolve to where we are today, which is complete different.
Sure.
Then from that stage, I also became a loan officer later on.
Okay.
On a part-time basis, because to me it was the first time that I realized that if I'm able to combine some of my construction background, some of my schooling that I was getting, and also some of the mortgage side,
Sure.
I was able to start doing things on my own.
Okay.
So I started learning about mortgages, and the approach to me is that I want to find out the person in that office that knows the most, and I don't care if you make more money yourself, but we're going to work together. I just want to learn.
Yeah.
Like Napoleon Hill said, you work for the knowledge, you don't work for the money.
Amen.
Yeah.
So
So what made you decide on coming to Dallas?
my business started growing, and then I started buying homes in the greater Boston area.
Oh,
In 2005, one of my teachers was being transferred. I started buying homes in the greater Boston area, putting systems in place. That one was working very well. I think what the biggest differentiated to me was the fact that I was a loan officer, because I was seeing constant what the lenders were doing. So what happened in early 2007, from about 21 lenders that were able to give 100% finance, they went to about 5. So the market was already changing. I'm talking to people that I just closed a loan and say, Carlos, everything's on hold for now. Give me about 60 days and I'll be back. But if you hear that from one person, that's fine. But the moment you hear that for 10 people, there's something about to happen. And everyone that I knew in Boston was trying to do exactly the same. Buy a house, throw some paint or something, and flip it to make some profit.
Right.
That's again a little bit scary. And I said to myself, you know what, I better get out of this business. So I started selling everything that I could. I just waiting to see now how the market's going to behave. And in the meantime, what happened, I got to know people in Boston that had apartment buildings. I said, Carlos, have you ever thought about apartment buildings? Economy of scale, instead of having 7 homes, you have, let's say, 20 units or 100 units. It's much more scalable. You can actually run a business. Goes back to me again, I need to learn. So my first reaction was to go after my CCIM.
okay.
Probably you guys are familiar. CCIM is a
That's
great...
a Certified Commercial Investment Manager is what that stands for.
It's a great organization. I have whenever someone comes to me to learn about the business, say, listen, the first thing you need to do, go through the CCIM. I have a lot of respect for them, and I started getting learn about them and learn more about multifamily. So by June of 2007, I said to myself, I need to go to a place that's growing faster than Boston. If you look at any demographics in 2007, North Carolina and Texas were the 2 places growing.
Right.
I ended up going to South Carolina for a couple of days, interesting place, and I came to Dallas the first time in August of 2007. I didn't know anyone, but I was here for about a week, and I called Dallas home. There's something about Texas that I love it. I think the attitude and the people from Texas, I think that I can relate a lot, the way I was raised. And I said to myself, I want to raise my family here. I think that any entrepreneur, you need to find your passion, and you need to find the place to call home. If you're not able to call your business home, that you're so much passionate about it, guess what? Your employees are going to know, investors, everyone is going to know.
Yeah.
So Dallas became
give us
home.
give us a 30-second blip on what is your business today.
Our business today, CONTI organization, we're a real estate investment firm.
Okay.
We buy and operate apartment buildings in the greater Dallas area.
Okay.
Inside of whole Texas, inside of Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, we said, no, Dallas is enough for us.
Okay.
So we used to have almost 5,000 units. We own about 4,000 units. Our portfolio value probably is about $450 million.
Okay.
We never had any loss to any of our investors, and we do monthly distribution. Our last K1 was about, our last quarter return to our investor was about maybe a little bit over 9%.
Really? That's good.
We're very, very focused. We don't want to be know-it-all. We just want to know multifamily in Dallas. I mean, for us, it's a question of process, systems, and execution. And, of course, have a very strong company culture. So that's what set us apart.
So how do you raise the money to buy these?
So going back, when I moved here, so I think that's to put everything together. So I didn't know anyone. I start to network as much as I can, getting to know the business. I think that you always need to find a way to add value. And knowledge is a fantastic way to add value.
Sure.
So I got to know a lot about Dallas, who are the main players, who are the main brokerage houses. My first deal got foreclosed in 2007. So I got this deal under contract the last week of the year in 2007. I put a very cheap on the contract in a kind of on a C location. Ended up closing March of 2008. I didn't have the money, didn't have the equity. I just put it there on a contract. I need to find it out. But I think the make it happen attitude.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's a combination of make it happen and having faith, right? Having faith in yourself and always speak the truth and always do the best of your abilities. I think that when you're genuine, people are going to see that very shortly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's who you are. We ended up closing that project with a partnership that we did with another different group. And then very successful the first 2008. We did about 1,400 units in about 7 months, buying 7 projects. And there's all this buying. I got to know Stuart Sue. Stuart became my partner later, a fantastic guy. So what we realized that I'm more like I have the big picture in mind. Stuart gets in detail and get to the big picture. So we complement each other a lot. I think in partner in life, I think your biggest decisions are going to be your partnerships. Of course, as in the personal side and the professional side. And I'm very thankful for Stuart. I think we're always on the same page. I mean, so with that attitude, putting the company together, say our approach is let's invest time in process and systems because that's going to make us more scalable.
Right.
So
You said partnerships really matter. So are you saying, I know you were looking at me, do I need to be reevaluating Bob for this radio show?
It's the best partnership you'll ever have, other than Corey. All right, so you raise money from individuals now?
Yeah, so what happens to us when I look at today, or where we are, usually people invest with us, high net worth individuals, some family office. They come and they look at our track record, they look at who we are and what I have done, and say, Carlos, I think that what your company is doing is a good proposition. I mean, we would like to do business with you guys. And we take the approach ourselves. Even when someone wants to do business with us, I'll be the first one to say, I want you to do some due diligence on ourselves. I want you to come to your office, get to know the team, get to know our accounting department, get to know, I mean, if you want to talk to some of our investors, some of our lenders, do everything that we can. Sure. Because that's a big decision. Our investors usually are with us for the long term.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Well, if we were sitting here together 3 years from now, I mean, a lot of progress, a lot of things happening in Dallas.
Yeah.
Where do you want to be personally, professionally, for you to feel satisfied with the progress you've made?
I mean,
what are you going to make happen?
What to make happen? That's a good way. I would say, personally, I mean, God has been very kind to me and my wife and our 2 kids. Mm-hmm. We will continue growing the family. And if we're blessed in 2 more kids, according to my wife's plan, that I'll be very happy.
Sounds like you're having 4 then.
Yes, the 4 is the plan. Personally, we, like I said in the beginning, I'm very thankful to the U.S. Mm-hmm. So I really want to have a greater impact in Dallas, in good organizations, good charities, and I have the necessity of giving back. So that's something we're going to be doing more. As a company, we're going to be following our process. We have a 1 year, a 3, and a 10-year plan. We're always on the same page. We as a leadership team, we meet once a week. We're just going to follow the process. And if you follow the process, we're going to have tremendous success.
We got about 15 seconds. Any of your family from Brazil living in the U.S. now?
No.
You're still the only one?
By myself, yes.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Until 5 years ago, I was the black sheep. Now it's more like, okay. So it's, but I take good care of them.
Very good.
You're going to have 4 kids, so.
Yeah, so they'll be half Brazilian anyway.
Yes. So,
well, Carlos, thanks for being our guest today. We really appreciate you being here. For our listeners, if you'd like to learn more about Carlos and his company, go to contiorg.com, contiorg.com. If you want to know more about the show, please go to nextlevelshow.com. And you can also find us on all the social media places. And we'll be back next week with another great guest.
If you know somebody that needs a little boost of inspiration or gratitude, please share the show. I think there's a lot of insights today.
Thanks. See you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to The Next Level, Conversations That Propel Business with Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons. Join us every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. for more prolific conversations that will take your business to the next level.